In this video, we're jumping in with our brand new TouchDrive panel and getting it connected to our also brand new Carbonite Ultra 60. So the first thing you're going to need to do when you get your TouchDrive panel is go into the configuration menu. So here we're VNCing from a computer into the actual dashboard UI so that you can follow along. You'll see that I'm clicking on the configuration menu on my TouchDrive and going down to the network tab. I am using a mouse that's plugged in just so that you can follow along with what I'm looking at. Or I could touch around and it'll move the mouse. So when I've connected my TouchDrive panel, here we've selected DHCP as we do have a DHCP server and it's providing the IP address, the subnet, the gateway, and the DNS. If your system does not support DHCP, you'll want to use static mode and enter these entries manually. You will want at least one DNS, and of course, you want your gateway. Next, you need to find out what your Carbonite frame, in this case, our Ultra 60, IP address has been assigned to it. Now, this is real easy with the new Carbonite Ultra 60s because they have a display on the front of the unit. So if we run over to our rack room and we look inside and we look at the front panel, we're going to be able to find in the upper right hand corner what IP address the system is currently running with. If this is a brand new unit and it hasn't been assigned DHCP or a static IP address that fits in your range, well, not to worry. With this unit, you can now click on the little joystick and you can go through the menu system and edit your network settings. So we can go into the network settings, we can give it a new IP address, we can give it a subnet mask, we can give it a gateway, and we can reboot it. We can also set it to DHCP, and once these settings have been entered, it will ask you to restart, you'll confirm that, and then the frame is going to reboot and come up with this new IP address. So here we see that our IP address is 10.79.33.122. So we're going to go ahead and add that here to our frame. So that's a Carbonite IP address or frame. Now, depending on what your network security settings and requirements are, you will be deciding whether you are enabled to use regular FTP, or if FTP needs to be disabled, then what will happen is the TouchDrive panel will automatically use SFTP or Secure File Transfer Protocol to connect to the frame to download the application. You do not have to worry about this because if it is disabled, it'll automatically use that or it will be enabled. The Carbonite OGP connection will either be done over default, i.e. it directly connects and does not have to go through network address translation. NAT, network address translation, is required when you're on external networks and you need to connect through a public IP address that will be port forwarded. The default OGP connection port is on 5253. However, if we use a satellite port, we'll be using different OGP ports for getting the satellite connectivity versus 5253. Satellite 1 will use 5255 and satellite 2 will use 5256. The reason for having these separate ports is going to be so that your Live Assist connection and your personality settings are defined per panel. This is especially important where here we have a TD3S, which is 25 buttons, and if our satellite panel was a 15-button TD1, they would need different bus maps. So the Carbonite communication port is carried on 3333, so this is the panel port, so the non-menu UI. This also could be changed if your network requires you to be put on a different port. You will have to make changes on both the frame side and the panel side for this to work. You also have the option to send logs to the frame. Since the frame does have an internal SSD with over 200 gigabytes of reserve space for logs and software, that is the place where we can pull everything from. There's another 818 gigabytes on the Ultra 60, which is set aside for user storage and putting all your file sets and media assets. If you've made any changes, you'll have to hit Apply Changes, and it will automatically restart if settings require. Once it connects to the frame, you'll notice that it's going to automatically add that frame connection into your dashboard tree, thus making it easy for you to now connect and bring up things like the configuration menu. Now, one of the benefits of the new TD series panels is we can run high RAM usage. So when you come up to the window and you go to Preferences, you want to come into the General tab, and you want to ensure that you've set to 8 gigabytes of memory allocation. Maximizing the amount of memory will enable Dashboard to cache as many menu pages as possible, and thus make switching between menus much faster and give you a lot more control and flexibility. I highly recommend setting the save state as well. That way, when the panel relaunches, it will automatically open those configuration and panel link pages which you may have already opened. Once you've set this, you'll hit Apply, and again, if Dashboard needed to make changes, it will prompt you that it has to restart. So now that we made those changes, you'll see when we exit, it's going to automatically relaunch Dashboard because Dashboard is not allowed to not be running. And then it's going to pull up and it's going to bring up those menus. So it takes a little bit of time for it to first reconnect and pull in the initial pages from the frame. But as you can see, all of your panel connection, including your panel status, is instantly available. And now that we're back and the configuration pages come in, we can easily jump around to things like Live Assist. And this is, as we talked about, now that Dashboard is up and running and connected to the frame, it can begin to use that large memory cache to pull in and cache these menus. Anytime we switch back to a menu that we already had open, it's going to instantly switch and won't require having to cache it. So now that we have all of the status pulled in, this is also where we can see the general status, the versions, and even tell the frame to shut down. Switching back to Live Assist, it instantly goes back. All right, so that's it. We've got our panel connected to our frame. We've got our dashboard set up on our panel. We're ready to go and start the next section. So let's go ahead and jump over to a standalone PC where we want to install Dashboard and get it connected as well. If we want to access our Carbonite Ultra 60 and our TouchDrive from a separate computer using Dashboard, we first need to install it. So if you don't have Dashboard, head on over to rossvideo.com, go under Learn and Support. You're going to head over to Software Downloads, scroll on down till you find the Dashboard page, and here you'll find the newest entries. So you've got downloaders for Windows 64-bit, Mac OS X, and Linux. Once you've downloaded the software, go ahead and launch the installer. So we're going to go ahead, click Next, click I agree again. This is going to install the components. The default location is going to be your C drive. You can move it if you want it somewhere different. And I'm going to confirm installation. Now that we're done, we go ahead, we hit click Finish, and we're going to launch our dashboard. When the splash screen comes up, it should run and give us information about what version it's running. Now that we have our dashboard installed, it's going to come up and we have the ability to head over to Preferences. And the first thing we're going to look under the Automatic Discovery Network. Hey, on upgrades, you might also have to install new updates. Here, when Dashboard fires up, you can see that it showed us the version 9.10.3, so we know that the install updated our previous version or installed the brand new version. When you first come in, head over to Window, look under Preferences, and under Automatic Discovery, you can enable this. Now, there is an AutoGP discovery. Devices on the same network, as long as the security is not disabled, the broadcasting should show up and should be able to be found. For any other devices that don't automatically discover, we will add them through the manual connection process. So here we're going to enable it. We're going to allow all network interfaces to go off and find it. So we're going to hit apply. We're also going to head over to general, and similar, we're going to crank up the amount of memory we want dashboard to be able to use, and I want it to continually save my open panels. I'm going to click apply and click OK. So you'll see after enabling it, it automatically went out and found the other devices on this network. So it sees them, and now I can double click on them to force dashboard to connect. So here is my TouchDrive panel. We can see that we can navigate to this same menu panel and have control and the ability to do things like shut down, switch to configuration, and manually control all of those settings as well. Now, one thing you will not find here is the ability to enable VNC. If we look through our VNC connection to our TouchDrive panel, this is the one setting that you're only going to find on the TouchDrive. So this is a security setting so that you have to have physical access to the panel to enable VNC. Once enabled, it will move to disabled on the next reboot. So every time you start it up, if you want to grant access for somebody to remote into the system, you do have to enable VNC. So other than that, you can control and make changes to everything on the TouchDrive through the dashboard configuration window. Here you can see that our Ultra 60 is also now connected and is available to us. So when we jump over to configuration, we can see all those changes we made, including the network settings where we have it enabled to automatic discovery. We've given it its name, and it has its MAC address. It's connected. In this case, it's running on a static IP address, which we entered from that front panel. You could also edit it to change it to DHCP, or go ahead and give it a manual IP address. Questions? Requests? Suggestions? If you have any of those, please send them to switchers@rossvideo.com, and we'll try to get to them in either an email or a video. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great day.